Okay.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. This is Sunday, March the 18th, 2018. Title of the program today is The Great Counteroffensive. We call it the Great Counteroffensive because of the time, place, and the circumstance in which we're living in. We're living in a great era. But as we live in a great era in the United States of America, we find that whether it's we'll call them the four-letter groups. That's what one person called them. You find what the head of Libya just been killed and the country of Libya destroyed. And you find whether it's Central African Muslims being either kidnapped and oppressed in Nigeria, and in Central Africa Republic, in Cameroon, whether it's the Muslims being slaughtered by the thousands and hundreds of thousands. It said it's 500,000 people. It's half a million people killed in Syria who had maybe a little over 20, maybe 22, 23 million people 7 or 8 years ago. Now half of the country, the people are gone. Some in Europe, some in Turkey, some in Jordan, probably a few in Lebanon. With the war, the invasion, that was not even an invasion, with the mass wholesale oppression of Yemen, bombings, schools, hospitals, Masjid, all institutions, with cholera, starvation has returned with a vengeance. This is an old, early 20th century disease, and it's killing people by the thousands right now in Yemen. With the Muslims being maligned and oppressed all over the world, here we are here in America. We're not saying nothing about it. There's something wrong with it, especially the hadith say, if your brother hurts, the Muslims are like a body. If one part of the body hurts, the whole body should feel the pain. We did the hadith before about it's the duty of the Muslim to stand up for his brother now in this world. And if he hide the inconsistencies of fellow Muslims here on earth, then the one who's qualified will hide and conceal their faults on the day of judgment. And there's so many hadith that it is that the absolute responsibility of a Muslim to help defend another when his honor is being maligned, when their property is being stolen, anything like that.
It says that if they don't do that,
Right.
that's an act of meanness. That's behavior of meanness.
It's also a behavior of non-belief.
Mm.
Yeah, because as we go through many hadiths, we'll see that certain behaviors are consistent with non-belief. Okay, especially on this level, just if your brother needed $1 or two and you say, I ain't getting him $1 or two, that's one thing. But if his brother's wife, children being slaughtered and bombed, and disease, wholesale disease, spreading like in biblical times, And the Muslims they're not having any programs. Speaking out about it is the duty of the Muslims. You see it wrong being done, to speak out about it. Or first, stop it with your hand. If you don't have the physical and military power to stop it with your hand, then you have to speak out about it. You have to use the tongue. You have to use the internet. You have to use all available, okay? If you can't do that, if you live under a real serious dictatorship, you should at least feel bad about it.
Muslims are using the tongue, they're just not using it for that.
Yeah. Our poor brothers in Burma, Myanmar, whatever they call it, the Rohingya people. I remember the first time I read about those brothers and sisters was in Kehan. I still have the article. It was, I would say, 85, 86. But this thing had been going on already 20 years in. So this is a lifelong project. But they go to Bangladesh, the people don't want them. They need things and the people don't give it to them. And now the little shacks they put them in, when the monsoon rains come, it's going to wash all that stuff away, and they'll be here in a hot minute. Bangladesh is, one thing about it, is low-lying. Boy, it's low-lying, and that means it is hot. And if you pull out a plate of food, you may have 100,000 flies just right there in and around that plate. It's not like the flies here. It's like you could ask Muhafiz. He took his wife back there for a minute, and they were good out of life. So this is a dream era for us. It's a dream era because we're living in an era of transition and opportunity. When there's great challenge, there's also great opportunity. It's always prevalent. So where we find ourselves is that we have a history to develop. And that history is our recent, let's say 35, 40 year, 37, 8 year history as a masjid, as a functional Muslim community. Not the part before when we were part of other communities and what have you, but our particular part, our record. Okay. This is a glorious history. From Oakland, LA, DC, up in Seattle and Tacoma, and down in Texas, all over. We have done a miraculous job of avoiding so many traps that is unbelievable. What do we mean traps? If we go back to 1980 and look at the groups that were prevalent then, how many of them exist now? All of them that were original groups, they've dissipated and disappeared a long time ago. Those that were here, like Imam Jamil, we'll just say that it's passive and the leadership is in prison for the rest of their natural life. We hope to try to help them. What about us? We've avoided 10 times over every trap that the United States government, the city, and the state has in their arsenal. we have avoided thousands, not hundreds, of traps laid to ensnare us, slow us down, misdirect us. At times we have been what they would call, and what people from the outside would call, we have been slowed down, but we've never been diverted. And the slowdown, we saw that these come systematically, de vez en cuando, every now and then, therefore we're going to use them. And the hadith pointed us toward delay. So it's been 2 decades at least that we've been using the policy of delay. In the last 10 years, it's risen to a level of expertness. When Imam Luqman got killed in Detroit, Mukhtar printed out the paperwork right from the federal government, from the federal court here, because he has access. I have it too, it's over there. It had a stack of information on S1, I guess that's snitch number 1. And they have on record from their informers. I guess it was to show us how hopeless it would be to challenge the government, because look at Luqman. The government recorded him. They had snitched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to number 6. And all of them, they have the conversations when they had said, well, we need to do this and do that. And he said, we are not terrorists. We don't hurt people. We don't bomb people. They got that on them. This is from the United States court. Michigan, in the state of Michigan. So the government knew that he was not a physical threat. They must didn't like his attitude, and they wanted to, Mukhtar got it so fast, and he wanted maybe to show me where they was coming from. Well, he'd be about 35 years late by then. By 2009, I think that wasn't that 2009 when he was assassinated? I think so. Yeah. I think it was 2009, around October. Yeah, it was 2009. What effect did it have on us to buckle down? What effect did it have on everybody else to get even quieter? Then his wife called and said that she was in Tanzania. We don't even have a gravestone for him. So how much it costs? So we sent her the money. We was raising a little money. We sent it right away. We said, it ain't nothing. We're going to hook y'all up, because nobody did anything to raise any money for him or the community or his wife. And the FBI snatched her up and sent her right back to Tanzania. She would call me every now and then up to a couple of years ago, because I told her just to hold on. I guess she probably got married again, I'm sure, because I heard a man's voice in the background. But I told her I'm going to look out for y'all a little bit. You know, that's the same time they was pressing in on us, and we want to help everybody, but we get calls from all over the world, and we just sometimes we say, no, sorry, ain't nothing I can do. And I would see the number and I said, man, ain't nothing I can do right now. Finally, she stopped calling. But I have the number, and as soon as we strike pay dirt, we'll try to find them and hook them up. But we've done a great historical job. Not only we've done a great historical job, we know the job we've been doing. We have not been absent-mindedly strolling along as though we don't know what we're doing and we're just out there just trying to put out the word. No, we're doing it, and this is what we're going to have to teach the people. In the long run, we're going to have to teach the people about what we call the resistance movement in North America. That is, we are officially assuming leadership of the human resistance movement in North America. We're assuming leadership because there is none, so we ain't making no coup d'etat trying to knock nobody over out of their position. We're assuming a position that we have held for decades. Assuming leadership of the human resistance movement in North America. So when we talk about Sabiqun liberation movement, that's what we're talking about. Sabiqun liberation movement. To liberate first the Muslims in North America. To give them the freedom to practice their religion. To spread the interpretation of Quran and Sunnah that would enable them and allow them to do the jobs in America that Quran is calling them to, that the Sunnah is calling them to. That's our job. And we're helped in this job by time, place, and circumstance, and history is really on our side. But now, what style will we use or continue to use? Well, you have to remember years ago, almost 10 years ago, kindness, humor, and optimism. Kindness, humor, and optimism. Also for this era, the main point is forgiveness. Forgiveness during this era. Yeah, straight out the forgiveness. I'll mention in a few minutes, but as we move forward, we're going to educate the people on what's been going on. Because now we have to teach the people how to survive in America as a movement, how to have clear-cut, decisive, well thought out, strategic goals, and how to reach those goals. Also, we have to teach people how to stay focused and how to visualize everything and change every attack into an enhancement. That when anybody, no matter what they do to you, about you or around you, you turn that into something good for you. And that's what the hadith said. We read it yesterday. Everything is good for a believer. Everything. If he got it good, and just taking it easy and enjoying the air and everything, and he's grateful, that's good for him. And if he is unloaded on him with all kind of challenges, fitna and everything else, but he is focused, striving and struggling in the cause of Allah, then that's good for him. So everything is good for him. Because the Spanish, he's thankful and grateful. But he's grateful too when other stuff comes. He's appreciative. Don't make no difference what happened. He's clear cut on everything. And that person is focused. Okay. What's this forgiveness about? We're going to teach about everything that happened here and in Oakland. But the farther we move into the future, we're going to use less names and titles of people. We'll tell about what happened, what they did, what we did, what the system, how the system arranged it, and how to deal. It'll be case study. Like now, remember we had flyers that outlined this a long time ago. That we're using the case study model. Just like when you study management and business, they have a case study of Pepsi-Cola against Coca-Cola, right? It's a case study of what each one of them did. Pepsi and toothpaste, part of one conglomerate against another, and what they did. The management did, what the incentives were for employees, all of that. Now, so we have to teach the people all of those processes. We will call the place, the circumstance, but not as much calling the names. Abdul Malik did this, Mukhtar did that, Khadija did this, the principal did that, Ismail did that, Abdul Rahman did that. We might number them like the police did. Snitch number 1, snitch number 2. Why? Because this is training right here. All of it is training. This is training for the big one. It ain't no doubt about it, it's close. So, and that big one, coming soon, coming attraction. Forgiveness is in order then. And you notice the stupid stuff you see about the lady calls all the time. Okay, the people have to see us dealing with that, and they have to hear over. You mean this is going on for over a decade, right? And here's the guy smiling and saying and meaning, this is in human terms, Allah forgives. But in human terms, hey, it's all right. Like we told them, we're going to try to help you. We don't have nothing against none of them. None of them. Absolutely not. I'm not saying it's not their fault.